Yeah, pay for delay is it's something that is. I think you're going to see a lot more stories being written about this because I don't think it's as well known as drug pricing to the individual investor. But pay for delay, basically what happens is I've got a patent, my patent's expiring on a drug. I've got a bunch of generic manufacturers who are just lining up the door to start marketing, the alternative to it. My sales are going to plummet as a result. Typically, generic drugs end up capturing 80% of the market of a branded drug once they launch. So why don't I then go ahead and approach that generic drug manufacturer and cut a deal with them where I hand them a pile of money that's less than what I can earn on the drug and ask them to delay launching it.
Yeah, and from a business perspective, that's a win-win. But you look at who loses in this situation, and check out this stat. The FTC estimates that this practice adds $3.5 billion to drug costs every year. So you have this practice that both sides of the businesses are about, and all of a sudden it's adding so much money to these drug costs. So the Supreme Court actually ruled in June 2013 that the FTC could legally pursue these agreements as potentially illegal, potentially a violation of antitrust law. And so we are seeing a little bit more of a conflict there between the FTC and pharmaceutical companies that are pursuing this sort of pay-for-delay practice.
Yeah, regulators are going to pick up the pace here, and part of the reason that they're doing that is because, as you alluded to earlier, if you're delaying the entry of a generic drug, you're harming the American citizen, right? Because you're making them pay more for a drug that theoretically could save their life than necessarily was intended when the law was written. You can't just maintain a monopoly and pay to maintain a monopoly. That's not legal, right? So the FTC now is going out and looking at some of these deals, and some of the money that's already being forked over by companies who are being targeted by the FTC is pretty staggering. I mean, very recently, Teva Pharmaceutical had to pay $1.2 billion to settle a pay for delay deal that occurred at its Cephalon unit back in the 2000s. And the issues being looked into globally. I mean, GlaxoSmithKline was recently in the news overseas because in the UK they just settled with the UK for 54 million for delaying the entry of a generic version of an antidepressant drug that they had. So yeah, you're going to see more of these cases. Regulators are definitely going to try and prevent this kind of monopoly-like behavior from occurring, and it is a problem.